It's a matter of
Because
the
it's
board
their
just setting policy
responsibility.
with regards to some of those things about how it should be done.
Right.
And, because obviously the old, you don't want, the fox guarding the chicken coop, but,
Yeah.
That's really why I haven't put it in the paper yet, because I just, hi, who are you?
I'm Ben Kirkuk, I'm the county attorney.
He's here to make sure we
Yeah,
understand.
nice to meet you, I'm Betty Ross.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
And hello,
thanks for
everyone.
being here.
Absolutely, I'm sorry I was a minute late.
We
I
should
was,
have introduced you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no.
no, I got here late and
I knew who he was.
Well, you can take one look at him and you can see, this man is an important
You don't
county.
wanna get on video.
There you
No,
go.
let's not do that.
I'm just listening to everything, seeing if there's any way that I can help or offer guidance to
Gives
the
us
commissioners.
Well, I don't know, we'd have to talk about it, but I really feel we should do a mail out
Yeah,
to all the senior centers and have a return envelope
there
in
you
there
go.
for the,
We're trying to figure
That's
out.
that's excellent.
To go to where?
to all the seniors.
Well, no, I need to be returned to where?
Well, to make sure that, yeah, I guess this is the same issue. Who's gonna review them
Yeah.
before you guys see them? And
Do we have a-
I think they should come back to the board.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely, yeah.
But that's not me, again, that's not me, and honestly, these are excellent things, but I think you guys are in agreement that you wanna provide the best service for the seniors.
It's really sad. I mean, that's the reason I agreed to be on the board. Our senior center is so important, and it was such a happy place
Yeah,
for people, it really was.
some of us might be seniors pretty soon.
Yeah,
So quiet.
some of us, but
Can I make some observations? So Bill and I went there and we did, as soon as we got into Roundup, we wanted to volunteer. So we went to RSVP and volunteered to do Meals on Wheels. And we actually ate there for many years after we were allowed to eat there. And we noticed that, it was a pretty good meal when Brenda was there, Natalie was there, and Cheryl was cooking. And then all of a sudden, when Tracy took over, it got less and less nice, and I just decided, well, I'm not gonna eat there anymore. And then suddenly Bill said, well, I'm not gonna eat here anymore either. I was making notes, I learned you were coming in today. I was disturbed by the lack of fresh options. Many of the meals were like carb heavy, and to my opinion, I like to eat healthy. I like fresh food.
We are required to serve a healthy.
Right.
We are required.
And that bothered me. You're feeding an elderly population by and large. A lot of people are immune compromised. They have a lot of health problems. You need to be serving them to the best of your ability. The finest food that you can afford, fixed in the best way possible. Not fried food, not mashed potatoes and gravy all the time, not heavy pasta all the time. Fresh food the best way you can fix. Granted, it's hard to do in a cafeteria type setting, but Meals on Wheels, portions kept getting smaller and smaller. A lot of people
Horrible.
use that main meal of the day to serve for 2 meals of the day. They use that for their supper as well. And if you're only giving them little tiny portions in that 4 compartmented section, how are they supposed to use that for supper? Some people cannot get out to the grocery store. Some people, I know I was telling the commissioners, there's a gentleman up at the mobile home park, he can hardly move. He is stuck in his trailer. He can't get out to the grocery store. He cannot hardly walk. How are these people supposed to get around and get extra food? So, what other? And I know Shelley at RSVP takes pictures of to-go meals. Small portions. These, granted $5 doesn't go very far anymore, but they are paying what little money they have. They are surviving on maybe $1,000 a month or less on Social Security.
If I can make a point, what Tracy says is that no one has to pay. It is that the federal government says
Yeah.
donation only.
but,
And so, well,
Suggested.
and I said, well,
Still. yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
well, I said, have you pursued talking to these individuals that get Meals on Wheels and seeing if they can give something? Larry and I do Meals on Wheels, and
Yes, you did.
yeah, some people absolutely are poverty and some aren't. So we need to know who's able to pay and maybe pursue that. I also want to consider doing a fundraiser, a real one, to raise, because food has doubled in price, we know that.
Right.
Tracy said it's, an average meal for her is $14.
I don't know.
Oh,
She went to Grand and bought food for one day for people that were on Meals on Wheels.
she did.
She did. She bought hamburgers
I
on a
understand-
Tuesday.
I understand that was her own money,
I don't know.
but yeah, but the price of food has risen, and we're
Of
gonna
course it
have to
has.
either consider another source of income, or we're gonna have to raise the price of meals. I mean, that's the choice. And considering that the price of food is going up so much, we're probably gonna have to do that. And of course, the rules is that they have to suggest a suggested donation. Well, there are those people that can afford it, but
Are
the
you
rules
going, are you
are
going to
suggested
turn them away?
donation.
Are you gonna turn them away?
No,
if
you
they
can't.
can't?
You
cannot.
can't, because
Okay.
then you're gonna be against federal guidelines.
Well, let me kind of add something.
Anyway,
It was
that's
my,
my
it was
opinion.
my impression though, and let's not forget to talk about the travel in the town, okay? But
Yeah, I
it's
have
my
opinions on
impression
that,
this
too.
issue of cost is not a driving issue that's driving these decisions that have to do with portions and quality and variety. I don't think you're working at a deficit. I don't, that's then the feedback I've been getting, and that's why we said, look, if its cost is an issue within reason, and we're not volunteering an open checkbook by any mind, but if you need more help from us to provide good, quality, nutritious meals, we would, provided that it's within a reasonable range, that would be a good investment, I think, in our minds.
And it'd be real easy to investigate the costs, and that's probably what we should do. And maybe you don't want Tracy to investigate the costs, but somebody should investigate the cost and find out what we really need to provide that.
Well, that is one of her responsibilities, is to investigate costs and budgetary things. That's her job.
The last 2 months, when I attended, she has not brought a financial. She just has said how much money was in the checking account.
Oh, come on.
So I made a call to Melissa, our accountant, and asked her how this all works. And Melissa puts in QuickBooks what Tracy tells her. But
Oh,
we really need to, that needs to be,
Change.
Within the
Change.
county, I'm gonna use the word single point of failure, okay? And I don't mean that it could be Tracy, it could be anybody, but if Tracy is the link, she needs oversight and she needs all that stuff regardless of who it is. We have the same issue with our books and we have to have oversight. Nobody can be a single point of failure.
Exactly.
Not at all. I mean, we don't even count, not one person counts the drawer in the morning. We have to change it. and
always, that's pretty
Always,
standard.
it's
Yeah.
due diligence, it's,
Well,
making sure.
The procedure on day-to-day activities for funds coming in through the,
Yeah, with more than one person.
excuse me a minute, I got the sheriff's office calling me.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're,
I'm not sure I said that out loud.
Don't tell them I'm here.
well, things have really changed, because I was actually on this committee here for 18 years, as 12 as commissioner, and back then, we were getting more money between the state and the federal than what we were paying on food. If Tracy's right, her figures are right, and somebody should check that, we're not getting enough money to provide those full meals.
It has been
So
done.
we have to make a decision of what we're gonna do about that.
Yeah, and the other thing, just kind of throw out there, that I guess, talking with Marcy, you guys were offered some fresh produce or something from.
Yes.
And it was turned down,
Turned
Tracy
down.
turned it down.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of rules, and maybe they're too strict, but I used to bring in a lot of vegetables like cabbage and cucumbers, and
Right.
they do take my tomatoes because they're so damn good, but I brought in a whole bunch of cucumbers from my garden, and they just divided them up amongst the help because they weren't allowed to serve them. And I don't.
But apparently, according to Marcy, this was all right, this was an okay deal to
This was a-
get, it was from the Sunset Colony or one of the colonies
So,
here.
yeah.
And we asked, we said, why would you turn that down? Why would you
Right.
not wanna do that?
What did she
Use
say?
fresh food whenever you
It
can.
was Tracy's decision.
And when it comes down to reality, we don't have to follow all the rules, we just have to follow most of them. So, cause you can get away with a certain amount. And I
You
know
didn't
when
just
Cheryl
say
was
that.
cooking, we
You
did
didn't
that
just
a lot, because I brought in beets, I brought in all kinds of food, and so did Crone, and so did the Hutterite colonies, and if we can keep that as a legal thing, that's what we should do.
Well, that's what I wanna ask is, one of the things that Tracy did is some of the rules were not being followed that were set down. And so, she came in and she tried to start following the rules in probably not a nice way because of her personality. Are we supposed to follow the rules that are set down by state, county, whoever?
Yes.
Are we supposed to, well, then we can't bring, it says one of the rules was we can't bring outside food in. We couldn't have, I said something about,
Yeah.
let's have, everybody bring, like we used to.
Potluck, huh?
Potluck, let's
Yeah,
have, she
potluck
said we
is-
can't do that because of one of the rules and stuff, so she's stepping on a lot of toes, but they're rules, so what are we supposed to
Well,
do?
Well, I think that's a valid point, but I think you gotta kind of maybe look at that, but in my mind, most of those rules wouldn't compromise the mission. I mean, the overall trying to, but this thing about bringing this food in from these other places,
Yeah.
according to Marcy Brooks, it was okay to do that. They wouldn't have recommended it if
If
they
it
could, if they couldn't do it. But having somebody come off the street and bring food in. But I think you're right, a lot of the rub with Tracy, I think, is she's trying to enforce rules. But let's talk about driving into town.
Yes.
Typically, what are they limited to now? They can get a ride for a doctor's appointment, right?
$45.
Medical, yeah, medical
Medical.
issue, which should include picking up prescriptions at Walmart, I think.
Okay, and so then you say, well, what if somebody wants to go shopping or have
You
lunch?
can't do it.
But you used to be able to do it.
Yes, and if you're going to Walmart and picking up prescriptions, why can't you pick up a loaf of bread?
Yeah,
Correct.
these are the areas
But
where I
we need
think
to check into that.
you could, because if it's a matter of money and say, well, it costs, they're paying their money, but it costs us to pay a driver and gas on.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's address that, because I think that's a quality issue that has great value to people that go into town if they
And
have.
according to Tracy, it's insurance is the problem, so you
No,
need to
that's
clear
not
that
true.
up.
We can vote that. We just talked about, Ron and I did, that we were
Yeah.
going to take Tracy to the insurance company and sit there and listen to Cody tell us exactly, because she's not
Mm-hmm.
here.
You don't believe it, huh?
It's not limited to where you go.
We've already been there with
We've
Cody.
been there.
I'm thinking that they just don't, they don't wanna take the time, I'm sorry.
She
they
didn't wanna
get
take the
there.
time, yeah.
I think the driver doesn't mind taking the time, but
No.
whoever else, but anyway, I don't know enough, but you were gonna say something, Ben.
Yeah, well, I was just talking about the insurance, the only thing I've heard is that is a medical thing, you take them there and take them back, the insurance does not cover them when they run around wherever,
I
you
don't
know.
think that's true.
And so, well, you see, you don't think,
Well,
but
we've
do you
already
know
talked to
for sure?
Cody, he's on
I know.
insurance.
Okay, you have,
Yeah.
okay, then that's different.
They're covered wherever they go,
Check
It's a
the
blanket
funding.
coverage.
yeah.
I think
Insurance is
something
only
happened,
on the vehicle. not when
something
they're on
happened, I
If they're in
read,
the doctor's office and they fall down, that's another problem.
yeah,
If they're in the vehicle and something happens, that's the insurance we're talking about. Right. And if they go to Walmart and slip and fall, that's Walmart's problem, not
okay,
our insurance. It's only insurance is on the vehicle only,
and we'll look into that one,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I'd like to say something here, and this again points to a fact that, that people aren't aware of some of the things that the board's doing, and
Yeah,
for instance, the complaint about that particular thing of going there. There's two things that exist, and this is a thing that maybe hasn't been publicized as it should. There's a bus that comes out of Lewistown that will pick up people if they want to go to do shopping, do anything at all down there.
That is
I'm
on the
not-
bulletin board.
Yeah.
It is.
It's on the bulletin board, it may not be out to the public. But I'm not gonna talk about them and that availability of that. With regards to the thing on the people being able to go down there and go shopping and things, there are some inherent difficulties when a driver has 2 or 3 patients, that he has to take someone here to this place,
Okay,
take someone over here, and some of those people may not want to be bothered with going to a grocery store because someone else wants to go shopping. To that end, with the board being aware of that, at the last meeting that we had, and possibly even the meeting before that, we discussed and brought up the idea of not, no, we can't do that, we can't take them shopping. We brought up the idea that we would designate 1 day a week that would be a driver to take people to Billings to go shopping.
excellent idea.
And so these things are coming up, and they're problems for you as the commissioners. When you hear that they can't do, we aren't servicing, but we are trying to service, and that is
Okay.
something that we've addressed,
good.
and we're trying to put into play. And putting that into play is, number one, we have to have a driver. The drivers, they get paid, so, they make money when they go down there like that. But that's one of the things we're working on that. So we're trying to resolve those issues that we can look into without it being a thing that, requiring any type of hearsay or factual or something like that.
Excellent.
So, the board's doing things to try to improve the quality for the seniors, and there isn't a single person on this board that won't say, nor even on past boards, that won't say, well, to my memory, several years now, that won't say that the first priority has been to taking care of our seniors.
Now, I hear you, but that's not what's happening.
I
is it?
know.
And that's the board's responsibility to see that your vision, I'm gonna use the word, and the mission gets communicated to the people doing it. And I know I'm preaching the choir here, but it's difficult. Tracy said they're not, a lot of what she says makes sense in terms of following the rules and stuff. But this kind of thing is, it's like, that's fine, but we're gonna designate a day, that we're gonna.
Well, we have
You might have, I
two
guess you
bands.
might have to get a little, make it clear to Tracy that what your mission is and what you guys are gonna see happen, so she can do the job. I'm not trying to tell you to fire her at all. What I'm saying is, you're the boss, not her.
We're the executive committee, we are her boss.
And another thing that I'm just gonna mention that I have noticed is, like the claims, the bills and everything, they should be signed by the board, not by Tracy. So like,
Well, she gives you checks, right?
Yeah,
no, I mean like the electric bill, or the propane bill, or the maintenance for things, we put them in
bills that
your-
come to the
Yeah,
commissioners.
it comes to us and
Yeah.
we pay for, they mainly deal with
I
the
mean,
building.
like, the refuse, all the boards, they do it, you meet once a month, you sign your
And
bills.
sometimes it's quite a bit of money.
So, yeah, sometimes they really add up, because it's a whole month, but she should not be signing them.
She can put them together,
She can
but
fill
then
them
she
out.
has to, she can fill them out, but then she has to run them by you
Yeah.
This
guys.
is that
For
oversight.
the approval of,
Yes.
Right.
and then they come to us for signature. Every board is that way.
And the whole
I-
board should look at them before they're signed.
Yeah.
I'm on the refuse committee. I give bills for the dump. I get a lot of bills. Our refuse bill per month is $42,000, just for garbage.
Oh, my word.
I cannot submit that to the people to pay that claim. I have to give it to the board they have to look it over and say, yeah, that's valid, okay. They have to, I can't sign that to be paid.
Or
That
when-
has to be reviewed by the board, and then it has to go to be paid. All the bills have to be reviewed by my refuse committee, a member board, about seven
And
different
signed
people.
by the chair.
And signed by the chairperson. I, as the secretary, Tracy, as the council on aging director, cannot sign it. It has to go to the board,
Okay, that's good news, yeah.
yeah.
As far as,
That's a lot of
And it
money.
could be, and then it's like you guys can question, like, the propane bill is ridiculous over there.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
then
like
you know.
$1,800 a month for propane alone. So then you know what, you know, where
Yeah.
the money is going for certain things. I mean, yes, they pay it, you know, but why?
Legitimate,
Maybe you
yeah,
can
why?
find out why. Why is this propane so high?
What-
You know, or,
so
You see a problem.
currently the bills come to Tracy's office and she just,
they
when
go
she
into the
submits them,
mailbox here.
what does she do with them? I mean, what's her procedure that she's
She
currently
fills out a
using?
claim, she fills out a claim where it says the department head is supposed to sign
Oh,
it.
sorry.
And then she
I can show you.
gives it to the person who does the claims, and then it goes before the commissioners.
And so what you would like to see is for
A board,
those to
Your
come
signature.
through us to
Yeah,
sign
that's
it
the one
also.
that-
yeah.
The board
To-
should-
to- to-
Someone
you
that's
recommend it be
authorized by
paid.
your board to sign that.
It's legitimate.
It's just checks and balances, you know, I mean,
Well, I was gonna, when I got called out, my ankle monitor went off, you know, they didn't know where
It's a way they do.
Yeah. What I was starting to say is on the aggregate meal, the money that comes in on a daily basis,
I
that,
will, excuse me, Ron, this is a claim form, and I'll show you something that I'm going to submit Tuesday. This is one of many, but this is what happens.
so
And
on
just a
the
subtle point on that
day-to-day,
before we get off that real quick is, there's bills that you guys paid around your operations, and these are the bills that come to us in terms of maintaining the building. And so it's a different deal, and, we would like to see that the board review that and approve that.
Sure.
can you?
And that's-
And that's no problem. And if I can finish, please.
You bet.
Yeah.
On the congregate meals that's money that comes in every day through the front door for people who come in to eat, people to take out meals and things like that. Whoever is working the desk that day, taking roll call if you will, or whatever, and collecting the money, fills out the paperwork for that. And that's usually done in the presence of Tracy, but at any rate, that goes to Tracy. The individual fills it out that's, working that front desk. And it goes to Tracy, and Tracy inputs that into the computer so that, data related to day-to-day operations is available. On bills that are paid by the board to services like buying food and things like that, myself and I think Marty have the signature authority on those, and along with Tracy. So one of the board members has the signature authority with the bank, has to sign that check, as well as Tracy, and when it comes to us, it has the invoice attached for the amount of the bill, whether it's from US Foods or wherever. It has the invoice attached to that. So those are the two primary means of funds that we deal with over there, paying bills and the money that comes in. The only other area that we probably need to shore up is donations that come in, because they come into the office, they don't come to the board, they come into the office, and we don't have any idea about the way it works right now, about the accountability and things with that.
Well, I would do checks, so whoever's giving it, have them sign something, and whoever's taking it, have them sign something, and how much it's for.
Well, there should be a receipt given, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah, a receipt given,
The,
but, yeah, absolutely.
So far as choke points and accountability for you know, the operation of things over there. Melissa's gonna be at our next meeting, I believe, and we're gonna be talking finances and things with her and where the operation stands. And I also want to talk with her about any concerns that she sees with regards to checks and balances on the operation of the money, so.
Excellent.
I asked her that, and she just inputs what Tracy gives her, so that, you know. But there should be someone counting the money when Tracy puts it in. She takes it from the front and goes to her office and locks the door. So that's a no-no.
Yeah, it's a no-no.
Sounds like a no-no.
Just for kicks, when we had our auditor, we had to change some of our rules because we had single points without oversight. That he said that we had to make sure we had checks and balances,
Correct,
otherwise we were not. It was a finding, it was actual finding on his audit.
And it goes so
There's a lot
far,
of
Yes,
credit
it's
cards.
fine.
it goes so far as to where Cheryl can't, her signature's on the check.